Welcome to today's cozy cooking adventure. If you love tasty soups, you are in for a treat today. I'm going to be sharing my all-time favorite recipes, 7 of them, enough for one for each day of the week. And best of all, you can rest in comfort knowing that these are 100% gluten-free and dairy-free. So relax, sit back, and I'll get cooking. You'll need half an onion, chopped, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, smashed, peeled, and chopped, about a 1/4 cup of cilantro, washed and chopped, and about 2.5 limes, juiced. I like to reserve half a lime for a garnish. Bring 2 cups of water to boil, and then add about 2 cups of leftover black beans. I used black beans that I cooked in my Instapot for 30 minutes from dry. I did not drain the water off before I refrigerated them, and I cooked them with just enough water to cover twice the depth of the beans. Smash your beans in the water to make a creamy broth. Now heat up a skillet on medium-high heat and add some olive oil. Add your chopped onions and garlic. Saute until they are starting to turn translucent. Then add 1 tablespoon of cumin and saute for another minute. Then add the onion mixture to the black beans. I took a little bit of water from the beans to rinse out my skillet and make sure that I get all that cumin goodness. Turn off the burner. Now add about half of your cilantro and about half a cup of coconut milk. We'll use another half a cup of coconut milk later. You'll want the full fat version for the most creaminess. Finally, add the lime juice and salt to taste. This will vary based on whether you use beans that were already salted or not. You may need a 1/4 teaspoon salt or 1 teaspoon, but go ahead and taste it and add slowly. Stir until well combined. I chose to serve and then garnish the soup, but you can garnish the main dish too. Use the rest of the coconut and the rest of the cilantro for the garnish. For this time, I used cilantro out of my garden. Do you have a garden? I'd be interested to know which of our community members do. Please comment below. Also, please like and subscribe. Thank you. First off, I have 5 cups of water on to boil to make my vegetable broth. I'm also going to take 2 potatoes and chop them up to put in my vegetable broth. I'm also going to take these 2 potatoes and chop them up to put in my vegetable broth. You can also use vegetable broth that is pre-made, but I like to make my own. You don't have to peel the potatoes, but I decided to peel them so that I can make mashed potatoes with the potato pieces after I drain the broth. Now I have my tofus pressing here. Go ahead and get yours pressing as well. And I'm going to chop the ingredients for my soup. We'll need 1 onion, well, a half a teaspoon of ginger is really the minimum, but I love ginger, so I'm going to put in this whole chunk, and 6 cloves of garlic. Alright, now for the ginger. You do not need to peel ginger. Just cut off whatever spots might be bad. You can also smash the ginger and then pull it out. Oh, I like little chunks of ginger throughout. Now I need 1 sweet potato peeled and chopped. As I am chopping, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. If you have not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. So please go ahead and click that subscribe button, and I appreciate it very much. If you comment that you are a new subscriber, I will reply, and just let me know if you have any questions or ideas of other things that you would like to see me put out on my channel. Normally I would use all kale, at least half a cup packed, but the kale from my garden is very small, so I am supplementing with some basil today. Go ahead and give this a few chops. Alright, we're down to our final bit of prep. We are going to need the juice of half a lemon, and we're going to need this pressed tofu. I am going to cut it into little bricks to fry. I'm going to fry it individually and then add it ideally to each serving, right before serving, but you can also add it into the soup if you like it not quite as crispy. Alright, time to check my broth. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to strain off the potatoes and then use the water that's left. I'm giving these a nice little stir to try to get some of the starch into the water. Now I'm going to start by sauteing the onions, garlic, and ginger with a little bit of oil. At the same time, I'm also going to fry some tofu. I gotta turn this down to about a 6. And add a little oil. There's a little more than ideal. To our other pan, we get our tofu frying here. I'm going to turn this down to about a 6 also. I like to make sure to check the ones in the center first because they often get the most heat. Alright, these are looking good. I'm going to go ahead and add in my spices. 1 teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of paprika. I'm going to allow these to cook just a little bit to activate the spices. About 1 minute, 30 seconds to a minute. Alright, these are looking good. I'm going to add my sweet potato, my broth, and my salt. 1 tablespoon. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that up to high to get it back to boiling and check my tofu. Oh, beautiful. I'm going to take these off and set them on a plate. Alright, and now we need 2 cups of chickpeas. We'll add the lemon and the greens at the end, and the coconut milk. Alright, let's see if our potatoes are soft. Looks like they are. Wow, that looks so good. Alright, so looks like a bit of our water, our broth has boiled off, so we may need to add a little bit more water. But let's go ahead and add our can of coconut milk. Turn off the heat. Add the lemon, just half a lemon. give this a stir and a taste. Wow, that is so good. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. It may vary based on how much of your water boiled off. Okay, I just added my cup down to quarter. Perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna add my greens. Beautiful. Alright, so we're going to get 4 cloves of garlic, half an onion, and 1 inch of ginger. You can also smash the ginger, but I love little chunks of ginger, so I chop mine finely. If you smash it, you can leave it in one large piece and then pull it out so that you don't get ginger in every bite. You just have the ginger flavor. Alright, let's get this sauteing in our pan. I also have my tofu, excuse me, pressing right here. You can turn your pan on about 5 and then add a very small amount of olive oil and your onion, garlic, and ginger. While the onion, garlic, and ginger are sauteing, let's cut our squash. I like to cut it in 2 separate parts. I also have some kabocha squash cut up here. It is in the shape of like a cheese round when it is whole. We'll need 1.5 pounds of butternut or kabocha squash. That's about 4 cups. Remember to stir your onions. Now slice your tofu. And you're gonna go about like that size. But it's up to you. You can make different sizes if you prefer. Here's our happy onion mixture. You can see we're starting to get some browning, very slight browning. Go ahead and turn the temperature up. I turned it up to high. And you can add the squash. And the tofu. And the water. You need just enough water to cover the squash. And I have about 2.5 cups here, and it's looking pretty good. You don't need to cover the tofu. The tofu is just absorbing some flavor. It does not need to be cooked. I'm gonna get just a little bit more water. There, my last little squashies are covered. And now I'm gonna add the salt. We need 2 teaspoons of salt to be lightly salted. And you may want to add more once you taste it. Go ahead and cover this and let it cook for about half an hour. While it's cooking, you can prepare your greens. I'm using basil, but you can also use spinach or even kale or malunggay. The other word for malunggay is moringa. Just Make about 2 cups loosely packed. Okay, so this is about 3 cups with no packing at all, loosely packed. Probably 2 cups or firmly packed 1 cup. Okay, so this is how much basil I'm gonna use. Now that the soup is boiling, I'm gonna turn it down to a 5 or 6. Alright, let's see how our squash is. That looks great. I'm going to pierce one with a fork and it goes very easily. So we are good. Alright, just 2 more ingredients. Half a can of coconut milk. And the basil. I also turn off my heat at this point. Now to stir. Now go ahead and taste test how you like it. My, that is so good. If you want to add a little more salt, now would be the time. I like it just like this. Now we need to peel 5 potatoes. Next, chop the potatoes into bite-sized pieces. We need 1 onion, peeled and chopped. And 3 cups of water. And finally, 2 teaspoons of salt. Put it in the Instapot for 9 minutes on manual high pressure. You can also cook it on the stove top until soft. We need 1 cup of corn, 1 can of coconut milk, and a few clips of chives. We can save some for garnish too. Oh, also I forgot to mention, one thing that I like to add before cooking is a bell pepper, like a red one or orange one. It just adds so much color and a great flavor too. It tastes, how it tastes makes me feel so thankful. I hope you enjoy this potato soup. Freely eat. Peeled and chopped. Go ahead and set your pan on the burner and turn it on to high. We'll just get a little olive oil heating up for our onions and garlic to be sauteed in. Right now we're going to smash and peel and chop 7 cloves of garlic. Now let's put our onions and garlic in the hot pan. While that is cooking, let's chop our tomatoes. I'm using 3 Roma tomatoes, although I have used a full 24-ounce can of tomatoes. Ooh, aren't these beautiful? Once your onions and garlic are caramelized, go ahead and add the tomatoes. You can see that I got burned by leaving it on high. Remember to turn your onions and garlic down to medium after you add them. Now we need 2 cups of water. We'll also need 1.5 cups of mung beans, dry, 1.5 cups dry. I have soaked these overnight, so that's a lot more than 1.5 cups now. You don't have to soak them overnight, but if you don't soak them overnight, you'll need to cook them for much longer and with more water. I'm also turning my temperature back up to high, my favorite heat, and just till it boils, and then hopefully I remember to turn it down this time. Now I'm adding a tablespoon of Bragg's liquid aminos. Cover it with a lid and let it boil, or actually simmer on low. I'm going to start my timer for 20 minutes for starters, so I can check the level of the liquid and make sure that it's not burning. That's also when I'll add my coconut milk. Alright, the mung beans have been boiling for about 35 minutes and they are starting to look like they need a little bit more liquid. So I'm going to add my coconut milk, 1 can. And I've had the temperature on anywhere from 2 to 4 this entire time. You can also add salt at this point to taste. I like about 1.5 teaspoons. Go ahead and keep it cooking on low for another half hour or so. Alright, they've been cooking for about an hour now. It should be soft. You can also add baked or fried tofu to this. And I also love it with a handful of spinach leaves. Start by smashing 3 cloves of garlic and then peel and chop them. Next, peel and slice or chop 1 red onion. I chopped it this time, but I normally slice it. Next, finely chop about 1 to 2 inches of ginger. Place a skillet on the stove and turn the burner up to a medium-high heat. Add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Once it is hot, add your onions, garlic, and ginger. Saute until translucent and starting to turn brown. Now add spices: 1 teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of curry powder, and half a teaspoon of coriander. Now add about 12 ounces of spinach. Replace the lid and let it cook for 2 minutes. Uncover, flip the spinach, and add 1 can of full-fat coconut milk. Now replace the lid and cook for an additional minute. Wow, isn't that starting to look amazing? Finally, add a sprinkle of salt to your taste. If you prefer a concrete measurement, use about half a teaspoon and then try it. I like to eat this with rice and garbanzos. I sprinkled some paprika on the rice this time for a garnish. Let me know how you like to eat it. Did you eat it plain or with the rice? Did you add a protein? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe. Thank you. So I should note that what makes this soup quick is a little bit of prep beforehand, because these butternut are going to bake in the oven for about 2 hours. It depends though on your oven and your squash, how big they are and everything. So just until soft. I usually bake at 350 to 400. And I just start by cutting them in half or in quarters, lengthwise. These big ones are especially difficult to wrestle into pieces. But look at that, isn't that beautiful? Go ahead and remove all the seeds with a spoon. Then place your butternut on the silicone lined sheet. The silicone always makes for easy cleanup. Now I'm going to be placing the butternut in the oven at 400 degrees. I'm going to do my first check after about an hour. Alright, so these beauties are now super soft and even starting to caramelize a bit. They've been in the oven for 2 hours. Now let's get our other ingredients. We have 3½ cups of water, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a teaspoon and 1/4 of salt, and 1/2 tablespoon or 1.5 teaspoons of maple syrup. Now you'll need 2 smaller cloves of garlic, or I have 1 fresh clove of garlic that I planted a couple months ago. It should have much more time to grow and harvest, but since I'm out of garlic, I went ahead and pulled that. So this is garlic, not an onion. I know it has greens on it just like an onion, but I don't want you to get confused. Please use 2 cloves of garlic. And you want to just briefly saute these before putting them in the blender. Alright, we've got some sauteed garlic. I just poured it in. Now I'm beginning to separate the flesh from the skin and pop it in. I'm going to continue doing this until we are about 6½ to 7½ cups, which will be a total of 3½ to 4½ cups of butternut squash. Butternut squash skin is completely edible. So I have put it in before, however, it gives the soup a slightly bitter taste, and it also makes the color not quite as bright yellow. It's like a little brownish, and the texture has little flakes in it instead of being entirely smooth. So in my opinion, it is better without the skin. And if this video is bringing you value, I would love it if you could subscribe and share with a friend. I also have a link below where we can connect. And I'd love to see what your needs are. If there's something in particular that you're looking for, just let me know. Or comment it or use the form in the link below if you like to connect directly. Here we go. The last of our butternut, which brings us right up to 7 cups total, which is what I was intending to say. It needs to be between 7 and 8 cups for a total of 3.5 to 4 cups of butternut squash. All right, let's blend away. So just blend until it's smooth, and you can eat it straight from the blender. Depending upon the temperature of your water, if it was cold, you may need to heat it up a bit on the stove. You can also keep it on the stove to stay warm. And let's take a peek inside. I'm just gonna dust a tiny bit of nutmeg on top. Thank you for joining me on this delicious soup cooking adventure. I hope you have found some new favorites to add to your recipe book. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more allergy-friendly recipes. I'll see you next time.